everybody. Welcome back. So this is me just explaining last week's quiz answers. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Question number 1. Temperature increases as altitude increases in both the stratosphere and the thermosphere. What is the main difference between these two layers? Again, this comes just from the notes. And the main difference is the temperature increases in the stratosphere because the ozone absorbs UV radiation, and in the thermosphere because of direct exposure to the sun. So just keep in mind the layers of the atmosphere. That was that PowerPoint from about 2 weeks ago. So I know it's been a while. Number 2, which statement best describes the ozone layer of the Earth? The answer is A, it helps reduce the amount of UV radiation reaching the Earth. And that's why when we put holes in the ozone, we are increasing our UV radiation and therefore increasing the temperature and the climate of Earth. Number 3, which storm most likely develops as air masses interact with warm water in the Northwest Pacific Ocean? A typhoon is the answer, A, because that is like a cyclone or a hurricane. It is a tropical storm that occurs because changes in air density. Remember, the cool air sinks, the warm air rises, same goes with water, and those changes are what creates that. A tornado, a blizzard, and a monsoon have nothing to do with that. Monsoons are just giant or large torrential rains that occur over a season. Like India has a few months of monsoon season, and it just rains a lot because of the climate there. Number 4, which has the greatest influence on wind speed? The answer is A, differences in the density of adjacent air masses. So a common theme that we're going to come back to is, again, density of air. The differences in those densities is what causes the wind to be faster and slower in some areas. Which is most often a result of warm air masses moving over cold air masses. It is not a decrease in wind speed. It is not a decrease in cloud cover or an increase in air pressure. It is an increase in precipitation. Remember, this is how rain is formed. That's why the water cycle PowerPoints kind of flowed into the layers of the atmosphere and climate, or in meteorology PowerPoints. But when warm air moves over a cooler air mass, it causes an increase in precipitation, and it always will. Number 6, the breakdown of ozone into oxygen results from the electromagnetic absorption spectrum of ozone. This reduction of oxygen in the ozone layer is caused by exposing ozone to a strong source of which type of electromagnetic radiation. Basically, it's asking what affects the ozone layer the most, and you guys know that's UV light. Number 7, which gas accounts for the largest percentage of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere? The answer is D, water vapor, and this comes directly from your notes. That's why when it gets hotter, more water vapor evaporates and it becomes a greenhouse gas in itself. Number 8, a student reads the following statement. The presence of greenhouse gases in Earth's atmosphere is important to Earth's ability to support human life. How would Earth be different without greenhouse gases? The answer is A, more heat from solar radiation would escape into space. And so all greenhouse gases are not bad, right? We need some to warm the Earth. Otherwise, we would be freezing like a lot of other planets. But we have too many greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, and that is where the problem lies. Number 9, most UV rays are deflected or absorbed by the atmosphere, but some of these rays pass easily through the atmosphere and penetrate Earth's surface. Which of the substances in the atmosphere absorbs most of the UV rays? The answer is B, ozone, and again, that's why maintaining the integrity of our ozone layer is so important, and when we put holes in it by using CFCs and accumulating greenhouse gases, it's really dangerous. This one has a diagram. The diagram illustrates how an airflow pattern occurs near the equator. So it kind of is an equator going in a cycle. Rising moist air causes the frequent occurrence of which weather condition at location X? And the answer is cloudy and rainy. So if you're at the equator, you don't have a low evaporation rate because it's hot. You have a high one. You don't have cool and dry air, and you don't have high surface pressure. And so it is a low pressure system, and that is why it is cloudy and rainy. Low pressure systems are usually cloudy and rainy. Convection currents are formed in the atmosphere when cold air pushes warm air upwards. So remember, convection is Cold air, cold fluids, cold liquids sink, and warm air, fluids, and gases rise. Which property of the air is most responsible for the formation of convection currents? Remember, the answer is C, density. That concept of density is something we're going to carry with us throughout the rest of the semester. We talked about it first a few weeks ago. We're going to keep talking about it. So make sure you understand how convection works. The arrows, number 12, the arrows on the map represent the movement of air masses across North America. Air mass 1 would most likely bring which weather conditions to a region? So it is an arrow that points downwards from Canada down to the Midwest, and it would be cool and dry because it's not humid up at the poles and it's not warm up at the poles. And so it's bringing that cool and dry air down when it pushes south. Number 13, Earth's equator receives more direct sunlight than the regions to its north and south. This distribution of sunlight accounts directly for D, the movement of rising air currents away from the equator. If it's receiving more sunlight, that means it is warmer, which means the density causes it to rise, and then when it rises, it's able to move more freely. Number 14, what happens to a moist, ew, I hate that word, a moist air mass as it moves upward in the atmosphere? It becomes cooler and it forms clouds. So remember, clouds are formed by evaporation of like water particles. Whenever a cloud has too much water, that's when it finally rains. And so if a moist air mass is moving upwards in the atmosphere, that means it's moving away from Earth. It's getting cooler and cooler, and then it forms a cloud. Number 15. During the day, the island heats faster than the water. This uneven heating creates a pressure gradient and causes the wind to blow. Which of these describes how the wind will blow? So the island is warm in the middle. The water is cool around. The wind blows towards the island in a circular pattern is what would happen. Number 16. The arrow on the map below shows the location of an air mass over the Gulf of Mexico. Which are the most likely characteristics of this air mass? If it's in the Gulf of Mexico, it's close to the equator, so it's warm. If it's close to the equator, it means it gets a lot of precipitation as well, so it's humid. And also it's humid because it's the air is soaking up more water because it is so hot. Number 17, which statement best explains why the force of a hurricane diminishes as the hurricane moves over land? That's because its supply of warm and moist air decreases. Remember, a hurricane needs hot, moist air to form. That's why hurricane season is in the hottest part of our year, when it's the most moist, like that July, August, September area. The weather map shows radar estimated precipitation across the United States for a 7-day period. According to the map, people in which region of the United States were most concerned about flooding. And so the most inches are 5 through 8, and that would be the darkest parts, and the darkest parts fall in the southeast. So that's just reading the map. A 7-day forecast is shown below. Temperatures are in degree Fahrenheit. The Drama Club is choosing a day for an outdoor fundraising performance. According to the forecast, which of these days is likely to be most comfortable with moderate temperatures, no precipitation, and low wind to attract the largest audience? So they're doing it outside, so you're looking for the warmest day, the most comfortable day without with low wind and moderate temperatures. So it wouldn't be Saturday and Sunday because those are hot. Wouldn't be Wednesday, Thursday, or Monday or Tuesday because those are rainy. And then the lowest wind between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday falls on Friday. So you would pick that day. What causes the differences in air masses that permit hurricanes to form over oceans? Ocean water is warm and heats the air above it. Directly from the notes. How do hurricanes form and move? The storms form at the equator and initially they move west. So, those last few questions were pretty much from the notes. If you have questions about that content, I would love to explain it to you. Please call me on my Google phone number. My office hours are Tuesday, Thursday from 2 to 4. But if you have a question, just pick up the phone and call me. It's not a big deal. I am here to help you. If I don't answer immediately, I will call you right back when I can. it is actually raining here where I am today. I bet it's raining where y'all are too. And just know that I am proud of you. I'm missing you. And I hope that this was helpful. If it's not, please let me know. I would love to find a way to make this accessible information for everybody to understand. So until we meet again, love y'all.